It works.
It's
Like,
not because I'm a firm believer in the way the person acts prior. The way the person acts when they're trying to pursue you is how they're going to act in a relationship. So if a married man is trying to pursue you, if he does leave his wife and get divorced or
Oh,
whatever,
okay. I get what you're
he's
saying now.
also going to pursue another woman while he's with you. Like it just doesn't stop because it's you. Like this is this person, this is their actions, this is their thought process. That's not something that just changes.
I don't think.
I think that we kind of got ourselves inside a interesting space where we could probably take this conversation a couple good ways. But what I'll say a common topic and conversation we do end up having on this podcast ends up being about relationships and marriages. To I think maybe this would be a good time to define out a couple terms. If we're going to like in long form continually talk about just relationships and marriages and dynamics and different things like that. So I know a term that, as we're on the topic of marriage, that we do hit a lot ends up being like this concept of traditional and modern
Facts,
or
facts.
whatnot, where just kind of maybe it'll be advantageous if we define out what our perspectives is or how do we define it if we can come to like a podcast agreement
To define it
of
a specific way, the way we can
yes,
stay on the same page throughout the.
yes.
Okay, I got you. That
What
makes
y'all
sense.
think?
That makes sense.
No, I'm with it. I'm definitely with it.
Which one y'all want to start with first?
Let's do traditional. I think we should. I think that's pretty easy. People know what a traditional
You think so?
relationship is.
How do you define it?
Yeah.
I feel like I done got in a conversation with
We
you,
did,
and
we
you
just
was
kind of
talking something
went down.
crazy.
I wasn't talking. You was trying to talk in circles around you, boy. You trying to talk me out. I got you, bro. I got you, bro. But yeah, before we hop into it, let's say welcome back to the To Be Fair show. I'm your host Johnny P.
Over here, real.
It's Q.
And yeah, back to the, we're going to spell out traditional relationships. When I think of traditional, the way I think of it is just what I've seen from my parents as far as just, coming together. There's a lot of, commitment, sacrifice, submission on both sides. Everybody,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
well, it's a partnership. It's, people give and take.
Nigga, you going left with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Like you're
I'm
not
sorry.
defining a tradition.
So we're defining. Hold on. Let's just make sure we're on the same page. You're defining what a traditional relationship looks like.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
like
go
like
ahead.
like
Go
a
ahead.
man and a woman, like the man being like the more of the breadwinner
Okay.
of the family, the man, being like the traditional patriarch of a family is what I've seen growing up. So that's what I consider like a traditional relationship.
So, but let's not stop at finance, though. I want to make sure, because just to make sure we're on the same page as we continue to use these terms, do you believe that traditionalism or a traditional relationship is going to be more finance based than anything else? Or what would be some other criteria that you would say, you know what I mean, would be considered
I
a
mean, I'm
traditional
thinking
relationship?
more of the financial,
Okay.
base. I mean, my parents were Christians, so they were, they were more of traditional as far as what the man does in the house, what the woman does in the
Gender
house,
roles.
the traditional gender roles,
Gotcha.
and that's
So, did both of your parents work?
my mom don't
Oh, she okay. So she didn't. So that's
yeah.
That
definitely
makes it
more closer
traditional.
to like
Right.
a
So my
traditional
dad,
setup.
yeah, he was the like.
All right. So he was the one that kind of went out. Okay, keep going.
I mean, my mom did work at points, but it wasn't like
It
what
wasn't a necessity.
right.
She could have, or she
Yeah,
could.
she
Yeah.
ended up retiring a little early and stuff. But my dad, he always was making sure the bills was paid. My mom was more
Hmm.
of a homemaker. She took care of the house, was there for like homework and that's
Yeah.
just what I've seen. That's just what I think of a traditional
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
relationship is.
And I guess I'll go next. I'd agree kind of like with what my understanding or my opinion and understanding of a traditional relationship is very similar to what you're saying. Of course, the main one that everybody likes to talk about is the finance role. Um, I also in traditional relationships you do see those gender roles. So that was really like that's I wanted to see
So
if
by
that was
that
where you
meaning,
were
like
looking at.
strict gender roles to an extent.
Like give
I
some
guess it's like
examples.
the same. What I would say is like the same way that like your as the man, your wife could work sometimes or could not work sometimes. You would and let's say that you if I decided I wanted to cook this time, I could cook this time, but it's not a part of my regular role. So, you
But
know
the
what I mean?
general
Or I could.
responsibility of cooking would be on her.
Right. Yeah, right. And so like the trash and like, you know what I mean, fixing stuff around the house. And that's generally that goes around on the man side of things. And the woman is more of the nurturer of the family. She's cooking, she's taking care of the kids, doing the homework when they get off of, you know what I mean, when they get home from school, making sure that the homework is done, and you know what I mean, just
You
paying
said the
attention.
cleaning part and different things like that too, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's another one. So it's not like necessarily my priority in my list of, and let's say in the general, the way that I understand my traditional, it is not a part of his necessary. Like, I ain't saying that you should just let her do all of the cleaning, but at the same time, it's not a part of your priority list. So whereas if you are helping, you're just stepping outside to do more. You know what I mean? You're pretty much just providing an extra balance.
My pops would clean the bathroom. That was his thing. Like he wanted to make sure them shits was like he'd wake up early on Saturday and you'd smell like was his thing. That was just his thing. He just liked making sure them shits was spotless. So
Yeah, cutting the
there
grass
are
and
like,
all that
you
shit.
know, give and take on certain gender roles where I don't think everybody is. You think everybody defines them out differently too. Even in a traditional sense, I think there are times where
For sure. And that's the thing. It's not like an absolute this or an absolute that. It's literally like your priority list is going to be different than my priority list. And
Right.
and I still, you know what I mean? You still work things out within it, but it's not like just like a fucking complete, like, you're my slave. And, you know what I mean? I just think that shit just goes a little far. But you can go ahead and tell your opinion of what a traditional, what it means or what you believe it means.
Traditional relationship. So I guess so far, y'all have defined it out as primarily the guy is the one that is the breadwinner. He's providing financially, and the woman can work if she wants to, but doesn't have to work. Is this correct?
yeah.
Right. Yeah, not necessarily. And then we did the gender role part of it too.
And then the other part is with the woman, her responsibilities kind of go a little bit more inside the homemaking side of it. And yeah, I guess like she doesn't like there's gonna be things that you might lend a hand in, but in general, more so like the nurturing, the caring for the kids, the general home, the house is kind of her in her domain. And as a guy, when it comes down to splitting the gender roles, sounds like we're talking about the guy might do some of those traditional things, like he's going to have his toolbox and fix shit in the car and
Cut
take
the
out the trash
grass.
and cut the grass. Some of the more quote unquote masculine traded things that you know what I mean tradition has told us. I guess that's a decent enough general broad description of what it means.
What would you add? What would you add or take away in just the, just want to understand your understanding of it.
I think that for the most part, that kind of hits on it. I think when it comes down to like these other words that will end up building on, the baseline typically does start revolving around like, is it a traditional or a modern relationship? Where so then you do introduce the idea of like a woman being submissive. Do you want like a wife should be submissive inside like the general architect of like or archetype of what a traditional not conversation, but traditional relationship would be. In
What does
which
that mean?
Well, I don't know.
Like when you say a wife should be like, what does that mean?
so y'all don't agree inside a traditional paradigm, submission from the wife would be a tenet of that.
And then I think my thing is it's not necessarily whether I agree or disagree. It's just that now this word needs to be defined as well. So you know what I mean. Then because we getting into like a I don't want to say
So I
because
feel like we will have another another episode because again like this will be kind of like its ongoing building
Discussion.
process.
Right.
But in general, would you say submission is a part of this?
in general, see that's what I'm saying. We can say in general, and then I use the word say yes, and then they're like you can take your own definition and be like he's saying that. No, the fuck I wasn't because we ain't defined the word. But let's just for let's say yes.
So I guess another part of the thing that we have to make sure that we try to always do, and sometimes we all stray away from this. When we're making points, we're always talking inside generalities. in which we're not speaking specifically to one person, any of ours, unless we like designate as any of ours. But like when we're going in, like what would be best, we're always speaking this generality. So again, if you're listening to this and like you mistaken submission for whatever your definition is, again, we'll define that out later. But inside the sense of like traditional and what we're talking about, we're talking about what's going to fit the general scope of traditional relationships and kind of defining it out from there.
Okay.
So inside the general scope of traditional relationships, and we'll give a better definition of submission later. But would you say that submission is a big piece of, or is a piece of the traditional relationship paradigm?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean traditionally.
Okay, so within tradition, and by submission, typically meaning that the woman submits to the man, correct?
You know, we want to go into. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
No, is that yes or no?
Traditionally, I'll say this, that, because like I said, that's one of the like traditional things in the Bible.
Yeah, I'm about to say like
it says, so if you're gonna go
from my understanding of how it's supposed to work
and understand that, I will say yes, because that is in the Bible. The Bible even talks. It's
but that don't mean that. Go ahead.
This nigga Jeremy don't want to.
No, go ahead. My thing is like you just try to still fucking define and find tradition.
He tried to box you.
He tried to still
what did I say?
define the shit.
What did I do?
After we said we was gonna define it later on, you still came and said that for us to say submission, you still gonna use. Then you said that so the woman submits to the man.
What isn't that all right? So I guess I don't know what we talk, because I thought that we was going to find out like submission in the sense of like what that action looks like. But I've always thought that in the general scope, when you hear men talking about traditional relationships, women even as well, and you hear this like as a common theme even from women, is that I want a man that I could submit to, which is a traditional value. So are we saying that a woman submitting
I said
is
yes to that? I said yes.
You just said I was doing. I was defining something else.
It still seemed like you was trying to. You're gonna try to go in and try to make your definition within the conversation.
What
but
part
go ahead. But listen. I just know cool. I just know cute. But at the end of the day,
I'm literally just trying to go like build the definition. I ain't even like put any parameters to it.
I do agree. It does generally have the woman submitting to a man within a traditional relationship is something that is a commonality in the general thought process of what it is.
Listen, I can tell it's gonna be some pleased a little bit later. Niggas is gonna be copping please. I can
That's
tell
what it is.
Niggas are setting up they please already. All right. But
go ahead.
So in the tenets of like a traditional relationship, so we have the submission part, we have the financial part, we have the gender roles part. Is there any other part that we haven't hit that we would agree or disagree on?
No, that was a good ad.
I think that was it. I think that's pretty much like
off mic. Taj, what would you say? Or off cam, Taj? You got a mic now.
Yeah, we upgrade around.
See the step that we just stepped it up.
When it comes to traditional relationships and just the general scope, I wonder child rearing. I know the woman nurtures and teaches the children to do their homework, but when it comes to like the discipline of the child, is that something that lies on the woman as well, or is that more the father's role?
See, that was a good fucking addition.
I think traditionally, usually the higher end, like the physical punishment, usually goes to the male, and like the general day-to-day correction kind of goes to the woman.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think from what I assumed, it's more like, well, not even assumed. What my understanding was like. Even like the front line of discipline comes from mom, and then dad gets involved. Should that thing get to a point to where he has to?
Maybe. I guess for me, I kind of put that together a little bit. Maybe when I think of like the physical, like when you really need a whooping, that matters. Like wait till your dad get home and da 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 da. But the mother's going to do like most of the day to day. If that comes with a little this and that here and there, but usually it's like corrective action is talking to, I guess if we want to say spanking every once in a while or something like that. But I think like the heavy disciplinary, like the main like part where like if you got a boy and you got to like instill some of that into him, like that's usually the guy. That's what I've seen, or my understanding of like the traditional role.
Yeah, no, I mean, you actually know what the shit look. This is my. You know what I mean? I kind of freestyle my
Oh
shit.
yeah, well,
You
well I
live
mean,
the
like
shit and
for me,
you
that's
live the
definitely
shit.
how
Yeah,
it worked
well,
inside
Okay,
the
yeah,
house.
Well, yeah,
y'all,
no, that's
y'all
how
living
it
it
go.
up.
Like mom, and it be times where like pops he'll see something or like
Yeah, I don't think my mother really whooped me at all. If it was like a real like some physical punishment, it'd have been my dad.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe some real. You might not count that goddamn palm or some shit. You might not count that. You know what I mean?
Oh, like well, I
to
guess
me,
like if
I
you get
even
older,
count
and your
that.
mom just doing some shit,
well,
it's
no,
not like nothing's about to hurt you. So like
Yeah,
I
you
don't
talking about when yeah the
like somebody
punishment.
instilling the fear of God in you. Like
Yeah,
that's usually
yeah.
pops.
well, my pops even like
Wait till your dad get on. Like
mom would be trying to discipline me, and I go be going back and forth with mom sometimes.
yeah, nah,
Getting like
pops.
pops will come in, he'll hear me being disrespectful to mom, and be
Oh,
like,
and that's
"Hey,
it.
boy, hey," and then all right, y'all got it. Let me
Yeah.
chill out. So even like it's the front line, but pops is always like I feel like mom's like the front line, and then pops the big bomb. You know, he the heavy gun. So if it get out of hand, then he gonna come and
Do you fuck
know
around and need
lay
to
the law.
escalate the call or some shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Do an
I
escalation.
think far as just the primary things, I think that sums up everything. Far
I
as the
kind of agree.
actual role or what you expect the role to be
Kind
just
of look
based
like.
off of. Yeah.
So y'all want to move on to modern? Guess we'll start down there
We
with
in
my boy
agreement.
Newton again.
With Newton,
Johnny P.
Johnny
Big
P.
Johnny P.
Well, like my boy Stephen A. said, I think in today's world it can be fluid. You know, I think with
Okay.
modern relationships, marriages, whatever you want to call it, partnerships of, you would say, people are defining their own roles. People are getting more comfortable with just figuring out, hey, I might not necessarily fall into this whole category, but I got A, B, C. You know, you got A, B, C. We can figure out how we make that work. So I think it's a lot less pressure.
So let's
You
go
know,
down to tenets of what we just kind of defined traditional under. So
Yeah,
financial,
that's
what does that
tough
look like?
though. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's do it that way.
well,
That
even
makes
like
sense.
in financial, like it's especially nowadays with
You
you
just
know,
kind of figuring it out. It could be
well,
50-50,
I'm saying
60-40,
there's a lot of women.
70-30.
Well, there's a lot of women that make a lot of money nowadays. You know, black women are one of the biggest groups of entrepreneurs, business owners, and stuff. So nowadays, you might be with a woman that makes just as much or more money than you. So a lot of those financial traditional roles you may have to reconsider. You know, look at them differently if she can afford to pay all the bills too, or you gotta redefine that a little bit.
So
So
by that meaning that it wouldn't be a purely males buying everything and a woman's kind of like her money is for fun. It will be some level of like a partnership in
Well, not
which
not in the
like
modern
it could be
sense.
it could
Yeah,
be 50-50, it could be
independent,
60-40,
yeah,
it could be
yeah.
70-30 when
well,
it
yeah,
comes
yeah. If
down
you're in a
to
modern,
like however you're doing it.
I guess we
Whatever
start
works
getting
for
down
that
about
relationship.
70-30, then I think that's a little.
Oh, so you think that like
I
a
think
woman can pay towards bills and stuff and be within like the traditional paradigm?
no. We're talking about modern. So what I'm saying.
Oh
Oh
no,
no. I see
yeah,
what you said. I
because
see what you said.
that's what you was
So what I'm saying.
rebuttaling with.
No. I would think that in traditional, that's where the man pays
So
the bills.
still
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
so
It
like
is
any
completely
level of
different.
a
Yeah, yeah.
partnership in the financial role
that
And
takes
paying the bills.
becomes
Yeah, yeah. I
starts to
think
push
that.
you into the
modern.
modern sense.
Yes, I think so too.
Um,
What else would you say go along with? Like we said, we didn't want to just do finance. What are
But
so
some
gender
other ways?
roles.
even within like gender roles, like
Okay.
same thing. Woman might be working more, and so the man might have to be there with the kids. I even see like a lot of black fathers that nowadays they helping with the homework.
They I
They
about to say enjoy
cooking.
doing
They
homework
they
with the
they they, they
kids.
cooking. They doing a lot of
Yep,
those
yep, yep.
what would be considered matriarchal roles. But it's men that are. It was a movie. Shit. What was it? The new Kevin Hart movie where
Oh yeah, when
he
his
was the
wife
stay at
passed
Oh
home
or
yeah.
whatever.
dad.
Yeah.
Like it was
Oh no,
great.
the other one. Yeah. I started watching that one too. I can't remember the name of it.
It's a great movie, but it just shows like the dynamic of these new modern relationship. Where I know a lot of guys that are, very hands on with their kids as far as those everyday, types of
Tasks.
activities with the homework, the everyday corrections.
Hey, can I interject? I think this is like for a a future episode. This is a good question. That what you're saying just brought it up to me. Is the new good modern black father? What would be the word? Maybe.
Is it a better version of the
Well,
black
no.
father?
Is it is the new black father better because they're exhibiting matriarchal
Mm,
uh attributes?
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
All
that's
right,
crazy.
so that we can stop it
Yeah,
there.
that's
But now
crazy.
keep going. I think that is a really good really good question.
But yeah, no, that's. I mean,
Is the modern black father like the best black father that's been? Maybe that's the easier way to
it's
kind of
one.
sum it up.
It's one
That's
of the.
hard.
I mean, that's a question. I mean, I ain't gonna
Yeah, we ain't gonna
agree
get into
or
it
I
right
ain't
now.
gonna
But
agree or
yeah,
disagree. But I think that's one of the things in
mm,
modern relationships that you. And like I said, everything is different. You know, I think everybody should define it out on their own terms. A
Yeah.
woman might just cook better than me. So
yeah,
if that's the case, I wouldn't want to be so pressed to be cooking just because it's a modern role. But I think you
yeah.
should work and figure out what you're best at, what she's best at,
Mm-hmm.
and how you can put that together. But if you're a better cook, cook. If she's better, she do better. If you do better at folding the clothes or helping with if you're better at homework, you should do that. You shouldn't just let somebody do a role that you may be more equipped for just because it's.
Hold on, Johnny. You getting more into your opinion of which one is better versus we're just defining right
Oh,
now.
okay,
Yeah,
my
my nigga
bad.
Johnny, he been monologuing on different things
Yeah,
for sure.
he's trying to hop in the bag. We ain't
Okay, my
bagging
bad.
just yet. Nigga.
Okay,
We
my
still
bad.
scanning
My
shit.
bad.
We
I'll
ain't bagging
thank
shit just yet. We still scanning shit. Go
Yeah.
Well,
ahead.
no, I'll cool off then. I'll cool off. But that's where I was at on like the gender role
Mm.
type of deal. And I guess the last one is submission. And that's why I think you got to be careful with that word. 'Cause I think that's a buzzword. And I think submission for every relationship is something that goes both ways. Because even as a man, if you're in a relationship with a woman, there's certain things that you can do single that you can't do when you're in a relationship, and that's a form of submission. Even in my head, as far as I can't go to the bar, 3 nights a week and try to, do. I'm in a relationship now. I can't. I gotta change the way I, you know, operate. My behavior. I
And
think.
that's tough because like that's like okay, compromise versus submission. What are the differences there? And like I don't want to go into it, but I think that that's still like to me what he said. It to me that sound like more like compromising than what I think submission looks like. I just say like compromising. So like that's me trying to do whatever it is to what I mean to like make the situation, and it may be something like because I guess it sounds weird to hear a man submitting. In my opinion, just hearing that it's like
Well, I
do
think
men actually submit to women, or is it that men will
hey, somebody
compromise,
else clip this,
or
and this is
maybe
that's another great,
yes,
complete
and
conversation
that's another one that
for us
could
to
be
unpack. Do men submit
submit,
to women?
or
Um,
or what's the difference between compromising and
in
submission?
submission, yeah. But
But I think that's
when we
something.
when we get out of like the anecdotal, like in our own personal feelings, I think that if we're just making like a baseline for modern,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that there's probably some level of dual submission and compromise.
Mm.
I think that would be a fair like baseline to be at when we're, as because in essence we're
We just
defining.
defined it,
We're
right?
trying
Right.
not to get too much inside our own personal opinion, just so that when we give our personal opinion, we have
A
We
baseline.
on
these
the same
things to
page. Yeah,
to
yeah.
kind of like reference to where we're not just talking about our own personal like esoteric version of whatever we think this
Right.
shit is. That can be completely different than anybody else's. So yeah, so submission, the submission we all agree that that's kind of like it's a dual submission on some level.
Facts.
I would say yeah.
Okay. Um, is there any other tenets that we're missing? I guess we
Yeah,
still
and
have discipline part.
the discipline. It kind of make me feel like as we kind of listing it down, I generally say, and I guess now we're getting more into the because I feel like we have the synopsis. We kind of agree on what the definition looks like. So now we're kind of move a little forward. It's crazy because like I generally would say I'm in a traditional relationship. We have a lot of the aspects of that, but then also like with the children, like I'm not like the. I remember like, or let's say my idea of the way that a father is in a traditional relationship or was previously is not like how I am either. Like shit, I go and me and my daughter we gon' bail. Like if I got a day off, we out. Like
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When I come home from work, you know
I
what I
got a
mean. I do
question for you.
want some time to like let myself chill, but then hell, she gon' you know what I mean. We gonna kick it like every day. Like you know what I mean. So it's not necessarily as it was previously or what I did see from different pieces of like my friends' relationships with their parents if they were in a traditional relationship. Literally, Pops came home and Pops had his whole day to himself at the end of that shit. And he ate and like kind of was isolated and then that shit just repeated itself, you know what I mean, every
Hmm.
day versus like I guess that is kind of more of a It's crazy because is it our generation trying to do things differently, whether it be modern or traditional, where it kind of blurs the lines a little bit more,
Well, I think so.
regardless?
I
I
think that
think it's natural
most
to
of
do stuff
our
different.
generation is attempting to become better fathers than our fathers before us. So I think that is one. I did have a question for you based off where you was going at, where so on the panel you are the traditionalist in general. Like that's kind of where you stake your flag at. Where would you say that your affinity for wanting to be a traditional comes from, and then where did you learn those attributes and characteristics in
Great
which
fucking
you
question.
deem traditional, and which you use, and I guess I don't know if the word would be paired, but like you exemplify inside your relationship.
Yeah,
Where did you get that from?
it's a great fucking question, seeing as though I had never seen the shit and like to be able to
So
really
did you
say
grow
that
up inside a traditional household
I
on either
did
side?
not. I did not. So
Okay.
like I literally grew up, you know what I mean, with my mom. I was a kid that also would get kicked out every couple few years. I had to go live with pops and then, you know what I mean, cry and just be able to mom Dukes to let me come back. And then years down the line end up, you know what I mean, and then have to go the fuck back over to pops out. You know what I mean? So like
Okay.
that was literally how my shit was and you know what I mean, my pops, he was more of a during that time, it wasn't like we had conversation. It was literally like I would go and stay over there, and he would go to work, and I just like live by myself, like pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Or he was dropping me off at my cousin's house every day when he got, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like we didn't have a relationship at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say, and that's a great question you said because I don't know where I actually got the idea of it from. What I can say is that like my life just kind of turned into that, and so like I just started to step up and you know what I mean, just step up like because the thing was that almost as if I would have wanted this the entire
That's what I
time.
was gonna ask. Is that because that you trying to do what you didn't have? Or?
No, no, it just like literally early on in me and my wife's marriage, like we would actually get into it about like me wanting her to go and get be it because we didn't have kids,
Mm-hmm.
so my expectation of her was like the same that I had for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But then, it was different because I also wanted damn near Superwoman. I also wanted her to do what I was doing, but then also do what I wanted her to do if she was to
Got you.
get off
Got you.
work.
Got you.
You know what I mean? And then over time I realized like, damn, is that actually even, you know what I mean? Is that fair? Number
Mm-hmm.
one. And then does it even make sense? So like you starting to look like an asshole at some point, like after you actually sit down, because you'll just go through the motions for quite some time. And before you ever sit down and actually think about what the fuck do I, you know what I mean? What do I look like and who am I? So like we went through, it was a rough time those years when I was trying to, kind of make all of that make sense. But yeah, that was a good question.
No, that was a good
Okay,
answer.
so before we move on, I guess I do want to ask you, being that you didn't have that in either version of your upbringing, how did you come to that? How did you build up to get to that? Would you say that was by happenstance? Would you say that was by necessity?
Yeah.
I'll leave it open ended for you to answer.
Yeah, no, I would say it's a little bit of both. So it was happenstance initially.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I got to a certain point, like it once I got to the point of realizing that my expectation of her was way too, you know what I mean, was way too high. Like I was asking, yeah, just like the whole Superwoman thing. Once I realized that, then it was like, okay, it's out of necessity because like, okay, I'm the one that studied the finance. You know what I mean? I studied finance. I the one that sat down and you know what I mean. And that wasn't really an area where she cared to really dive into. She didn't really care to learn. You know what I mean? At the financial end of it. And then so it was like, okay, well, at the end of the day, with the situation that we have, I'm gonna have to figure out how to maximize what my contribution is
Mm-hmm.
on that end of things to make sure that we don't live in lack. So I remember years where I like giving plasma and you know what I mean. I'm in the military, which everybody think that you making money in the military, nigga still giving plasma to make sure that you know what I mean shit stay
Can I
together.
interject real quick? Don't forget your train of
Yeah,
thought. But I just wanted this small little sidebar.
yeah.
So my question is, can you be a real one and not have given plasma at some point in time? I feel like every real nigga at some point in their struggle,
Nah,
they don't went to that
nigga,
plasma
if you
spot.
want to talk anything about coming from the bottom and nigga, you
You
done
done- you done-
gave
you done- you
plasma,
done went
bro.
you done went to the plasma John.
Yeah, at
At
least
least
try to, and then motherfucker tell you that your veins ain't thick enough to take the needle. You done been through that, nigga.
Nah, that's what
the
happened to me. I,
struggle.
I done went. They was like, "Hold on, man, you was like, you get your lymph nodes." So I was like, "What?" And then I had to go to the doctor.
Nigga, that ain't even good enough to get
I was
plasma.
I was like, "Hold up, bro! I thought I was sick, bro." I was like,
Yeah.
"These
All
motherfuckers-"
right. So I don't want to get too far down. I want you to stay there. It was
Yeah.
just it came in my mind. I couldn't let it go.
Yeah. Nah, but shit, like I said, you and me giving plasma and goddamn, I ain't never had to like get a part-time job. I seen some dudes in the military get a part-time job on top of it, but that's where I really realized like living below your means. So
Okay.
so like I literally start to gather all of these, I would say, like
leadership skills.
yeah, like leadership skills and all of that shit. So like it got to a point to where like she accepted that role as well, the role of being a traditional wife. To where it was like, okay, and then even now, like and like I said, it's been 13 years this year, and it's like we even closer to this ideal scenario that we've kind of come up
Okay.
with the traditional household, with the having two kids now, you know what I mean, and it's actually coming full circle, and you know what I mean. I can see like the benefits of doing it the other way, but for me, I wouldn't have it any other way just based on how things, you know what I mean, just the yeah how things have
So I
brought
guess
to
a
fruition.
good interjection point of that would be: do you say that out of the perspective of that you haven't experienced any other like version of this, or because of this is what you know to truly believe that like how you would want a relationship to be built?
Yeah, and I've actually thought of that multiple times. Like, would I rather it be the other way? You know what I mean? In a more modern setup, and I'd say no.
Okay.
And I guess it's because I don't value. I guess it's more or how do I want to say this?
It sounds like you got
But
fulfillment out of living and doing and being that
Oh, bro,
role.
when I tell you fulfillment, 100%, like, because literally to be able to know that, like, I was able to uh, um, kind of get us, not gonna say by myself, but on the financial end and all that stuff, I was able to uh, make it work. I was able to make it all work and buy a house and you know what I mean, not have kids until you know what I mean. We've been met to until after buying a house and being married X amount of years. I kind of like set this thing up to work in a way that it's like, damn, like yeah, this like you know what I mean, like
Like,
the leadership. Like I've gotten to a point to where like I understand how to lead, and I understand that like in order to lead, you also have to lend you also have to allow other people's opinion to have validity and value said opinion.
well, like even with coaching, coaches have offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators.
And I mean, you can learn it in many different ways, but this is the way in which my life, you know what I mean, actually been able to, build these skill sets and things in my personal life. And bruh, like literally, I appreciate my wife even more for the fact that she allowed and had that confidence in me along the way
To let you grow into
to
the
let
leader.
yeah to let me grow into being the leader that like even through like separation, the fact that we still came back together and like
Vision.
she still allowed me to, you know what I mean.
No,
And yeah,
that's
no,
dope. That's
it's
dope as hell, honestly.
undeniably I would not have it another way for sure.
No, that's definitely dope. That's for sure dope.
um, I don't know. Do I have another question for that? I don't know. I feel like we're at a launching point in which this would lend itself to a bunch of different conversations in which we can build it off of in the future. Where I mean, it might not be as important to kind of dive down at right now. So I guess I can give y'all two choices of where we can go at inside this conversation. I would say we can hit a current event conversation, or we can go to the who asked you anyway conversation, and then circle back to the current event. What y'all want to do?
I said, let's do who asked you anyway. I think that'll be.
Y'all want to hit that
I'm a
first?
co-signer who
I
actually.
All
think that'd be a little more relevant to the topic right
All
now.
right, so we talking relationships, we talking marriage and different things like that. Um, perfect time to go into Who Asked You Anyway with Off Cam Taj.
So we discussed, the roles of traditional, modern. You guys defined it for, just to have a base point for conversations. You talked about your marriage and if that was traditional or modern. So thinking about relationships, do you guys think that you know what women want when dating?
Okay.
Let's start with Newton, the single one.
Let's
Big
go.
Johnny.
Big Johnny P.
Oh, I mean, sometimes I do, but I probably, don't, every single thing a woman wants.
Right. So,
Not every single
so
thing.
in general, through your scope, what would you say that you believe that? Again, we're only speaking in generalities when we're talking about women.
Yeah, I got you.
What they're looking for a man in which like you're trying to provide.
Right.
Now niggas about to start snaking around.
You can look at him. Look at him. He
Well, I
already
mean,
got them
I'm trying to
dipping and
figure out-
dodging the shit.
I'm trying to figure out the answer. That's a good question.
Okay.
Because I would say in a traditional sense, I do. We talk about that more traditional lane. I know women, will traditionally look for like a man that can provide, a man that
So
can
are you a
protect.
traditionalist? You believe in like so you want your relationship to be traditional?
We didn't have that conversation. Like,
Well, I'm asking for the pod. Now. What's up? So your answer is no?
Nah, I'm not. I'm more of a modern.
All right, so now
I'm
let's get into your bag.
Exactly.
Ain't no reason for us to touch on traditional. If that, we talking to you now.
We talking to me, but I don't know. I mean, she said, "Do men like?"
No,
what-
dude.
No.
What do you
So-
think
What do you think that
women
Go ahead.
look for?
So when you're dating, right? You know
Right.
how men be like, "Oh, what do women think men want?" Same thing. What do men think women want? So when you're like talking to a woman, you're dating or whatever. What are some things in your mind that you think she wants or expects from you?
Oh, I find at least a lot of the women I talk to, they do want more of that traditional, value. A lot of women do want a man that's gonna provide, protect, be a leader. A man that they can submit to. So I think a lot of women do want.
is
more
that
of
what is that what they want or is that what they say?
Well, that's what they say, and so like I get that's
So as
that's where
you
I
as
get,
the man that's
where I
been
get
through these
confused
experiences,
because they
what is it?
say that they want more traditional, and that's what I hear a lot of women say that they want traditional stuff.
But through your experience, what would you say that they want actually? What do they actually want? Or do you believe that?
Well, no, from what I think they want a partner, as well, somebody that can be, a friend, somebody that can be like a lifelong, partner, that love, soulmate, something like that. I think that's what everybody, when you're talking about, I'm gonna be with this person long term, I think that's what everybody strives for. But, it's a little difficult in modern, in the modern world, trying to live up to different traditional relationships that you've seen and stuff. So. That's my answer. It might
I
not
think
be
we
the
should
best.
go. I think that we should give an answer and then we should double back to Johnny because I still feel like he kind of.
Oh yeah, John ain't really
We need
say
to
much
set a
anything.
lane real quick. For
Yeah, I
him.
wasn't going to say anything, but I don't really think you answered the question.
Yeah, I think.
I tried.
It's like how can I pedal backwards and forwards
At the same time, she got there.
This nigga just to do anything sometimes.
I mean,
If I was
to
the answer, if
I
was the
don't
answer,
have the answer. I mean, I don't know.
all right, but I think that the reality is that like we're not asking what actually like through your experience, what is it that you've seen is a most commonality between women that they actually want in a man. Because the reality is that we are men and we are the people that like only one woman knows what she wants. We've actually all dated a multiplicity of women in which we can start like seeing like what are actual commonalities in which we think that they want, and when we present ourselves to this woman, what are the things that we're actually trying to be for them?
So,
Because that's the basis of the question for real, right?
Right. And I got one.
And-
Let me
All right, I'll let you go
me
first then.
So I think one of the main things I've seen, kind of like across, not gonna say, yeah, across the board that I've seen, is they want an urban intellectual. So they want you to have enough grit, but then also be like, and I ain't talking about like the ones that's like, I'm going too far out. I'm talking about like a woman that I would say, or like we would deem
They
like,
still want you with a little edge on you.
they want
But
you to
they-
be
but
an
they-
urban intellectual. Like, you know what I mean? You're urban enough to feel like he's a protector and he's a masculine dominant, but also he's intellectual enough to maneuver himself around, you know what I mean, around the room and around the social construct.
So a modern
In the way
traditionalist.
it's literally like it's a little bit. You know what I mean,
I don't know what
it's
the I say. There is a part that it's a little thing that's getting me. I think that we ain't got to stay here, but I do want to make sure we look at like the etymology of like when we're saying words and things, right? And the reality is that you said urban, and then like your dictation of what that word meant was
non-intellectual.
masculine and like these things in which
Mm,
they naturally attract. Because we also say urban and black,
right.
and then like these specific things that are stereotyped to black or whatnot. In which like I'm kind of
No, no, no. I
I don't
get your
want to be too
point
woke
though.
for the moment,
No, I get your
but
point though. Like being
it
very
was something
conscious
that
and
kind of like was
intentional with the
in
words.
my head, and I wanted to kind of like address. But I get what you're saying. Though.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
want you to be like a strong intellectual,
right,
like strong in the other sense of the word, but then intellectual and soft in another manner.
right, right, right. So,
They want you to be a juxtaposition. That's what you're saying.
I think honestly, to be completely honest, I think it is. And then not only are you an urban intellectual, but you also have to have this physical characteristic that is to their liking, whatever their liking may be. So you're pretty much the urban intellectual that fits this archetype as far as physical attributes that will allow them to, I guess, yeah, I guess what we're, yeah, I guess that if you contribute or if these are your attributes, you might be able to get a little bit less or a little bit more submission, possibly. I don't know. That's
Um,
just my what I've seen.
to me, I think that the main like if I was to say a word to kind of sum it up, honestly, I would probably say stable. I
Mm,
think that most women just want a really stable guy. And that's going to be like financially stable, emotionally stable, mentally stable. Like, and they like there's a baseline in which they can count on
mm,
in general. I don't think that women like sometimes they can get convoluted in whether they actually really want like a traditional whatever or if they want whatever. But in general, they do want some level of stability. I think that most people end up swaying on like the line of like these different things, whether like I will compromise for a person that doesn't make this amount of money, or I'll compromise for a person that doesn't this as long as they have at least this baseline of things.
right.
And I think stability in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you actually are going to be somebody that I can count on and that I know that you're this thing. Like
Right.
even
But
if
you
you're going
also have to get there though.
But there's another word I hear a
well,
lot.
I mean,
You have to get there to the point to where you're able to actually show that this stability exists, which means
yeah,
that,
but what you
do you know what I
mean?
mean? I'm talking about you have to, in order for you to allow her to know that you're stable, she first has to be convinced, even entertaining you. She
Well,
has
one
to. She
Oh
has
no,
to.
for sure, but I think that in my mind the question is just talking about what women want when it comes down to like actually being inside like a relationship and what they want out of like a man that they're with.
I got
Okay, okay, okay,
Okay,
okay.
I got
is that how you meant it?
Yeah, like so I don't know if you've heard a lot where men keep asking women, what do you think a man wants?
Mm,
And now it's being reversed on you guys. What do you guys think that women want?
okay.
Right.
I got a word. I got a word go kind of to stable, but I hear it a lot, and I think it do make sense as far as consistency. You
Mm.
know, however you start the
My nigga using
relationship
synonyms.
is.
You ain't deep.
But I hear
My nigga, you just sitting there.
Yeah. It's crazy, bro.
Stupid.
But no, I hear that word used a lot though. Women talk about consistency, even if
Yeah,
it
Yeah,
comes
no.
yeah,
to
and
like calling, you know, or texting, checking in,
but
you
I
know,
honestly think
or
that even if you don't call and text and check, being the consistent version of you,
right.
whatever that can like something that they can actually count on and know that this is the thing. Like if you're a nigga that during the dating stage you lay it on and then boom you change, you're like that's still
That's not
inconsistent
right.
or whatnot. Like more times than not, women, from my understanding and from what I hear and what I've experienced, stability. Whether if you're going to be a provider, provide. If like even if you're not there yet and and you want to like you understand like you want to kind of like be inside a 60-40, 70-30, 50-50 relationship, express that and be consistent with that. Even if you're not actually able to be like on your feet and being like that person yet, when it comes down to being whatever version of a man you want to be, are you exhibiting the traits across the board that's going to lead to that or
Yeah.
whatnot?
And that,
Are you like an emotional roller coaster up and down, or are you a baseline in which that she can count on? You know what I mean? Of course, we're all going to have like our moments, but like, how consistently are you like overly emotional about little things? How consistently are you whatever? I think to me, I would say that stable. Like if you keep
and
a
you could look
baseline
at
of
that
what you
across a
are
lot
and
of
who
shit.
you are, hopefully it goes up some and a little bit more. But if even if you don't like excessively change, as long as a woman can depend on you as being like something positive, of course, like if your baseline is being a shitty person, then
Yeah,
you
you
still gonna
literally
it's
have
gonna
to
be
be
an
an
L.
asset. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that like and that's another thing too. And I've actually been talking to men recently about that. Like
that's a great word too.
you
Asset.
have to be an asset because you're too easily replaceable if you're not an asset. If you're not an asset to the team, then anybody can do your fucking position. You
That's
can
both
literally
sexes
just
too.
But yeah, I
yeah,
was gonna
yeah,
say
no, for
I
sure.
think that
Both sexes.
applied to like just any relate. I don't
That's
think
both
Yeah,
that's
but
sexes
see,
too.
necessarily.
I think that where it's like with men, I think that, and I swear, and I've been taught. I say this to my mom. I've been saying this a lot lately. Like when women, a lot of women complain about like, and it rightfully complain about how the generation before us treated the men in the generation before us treated the women, and when
Okay.
they were in those traditional relationships, you know what I
Okay.
mean. In those traditional relationships, they pretty much undermined how important it was. The woman's contribution was they undermined it, and then also what we've done is we've also undermined what made those men of that generation quote unquote men. So what we've done is women are now making more money, which means that those things that those men were doing inside of the house and working on the car and doing these different things, they literally can afford to get that shit done by another
Well,
man that's
most men
not in
aren't
their
working on the
relationship.
car
But
anymore.
hold on, but this is what I'm
I get
saying.
what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that, but that's also to the detriment of men, because if you can't financially support something, then I would say that at the very least you need to have those assets, because changing the oil, washing the car, you know what I mean, being able to do things around the house, you still can present value without it and be an asset without it necessarily meaning that you make the money to become an asset.
Right. Well,
So
I
we're
agree.
straying away from a lot of the things that, in addition to being financial providers, those things that weren't necessarily, well, I guess that's still supplementing the finance if I can do the thing myself instead of someone having to pay for it,
Right. I would say
or
that
instead of her
I
having to
think
pay for
that
it.
I agree with your point for sure. I do think like your examples were maybe is the word antiquated, like they're outdated.
Mm.
Where I don't think that like the car and oil and different things like that is as important
Nigga,
as
I can
like
tell
having
you
like
it's
hold on, let me,
important for a woman. I guarantee you, if you made sure that her car was full every time, or if a man made sure his old lady car was full, like, or just make sure it was always
like
washed and
full
clean.
tank, like always putting the full
Yeah,
tank in the
just
car.
making
Or
sure,
her
you know what I mean?
tires, making sure she got
Making
tread
sure
on
her,
her
exactly,
tires.
making sure her
There's a
tires
lot of
got
stuff
tread on
as
it.
far as like cars
Doing that type of thing, like
that you can
you
be manly
literally,
about.
and just the idea of you actually doing it yourself, the visualization of that comes with a lot more respect and
Well, I think it shows care too. If you looking up for your chicks, like I just want,
yeah,
I'll make sure you be safe out
I
there.
believe that. I
You know,
believe that.
You so what are y'all talking about?
I believe that that's something.
Y'all just said that if you like if you just check and make sure tire threads are good, and then what else you just said?
or just not just that.
It's
That was an example, but
keeping up with the things that, like,
Well,
because naturally we can see that, like, women don't generally check their oil and, you know what I mean, look at their tire tray until it
when
gets
like
to a point to where now the light is on and the tires are
but I think
bald
he
and
was
and
speaking
it has
right.
to be done.
to the
So
value of traditions and like
I
how some
got
of
you.
the
I guess let me make the point
Oh, go ahead,
because
go ahead, go ahead.
um I do think that most of those examples are like outdated, only because of like with tires. If as long as your woman is inside a car that's over like 2013, 14, 15, tire price is going to come up, and she understands that she needs to get that. And the same thing with like the oil, like your oil level. And if we're speaking in like providing in the sense of making sure you pay for it and do the things inside that, yes, okay, I get that. I think that being an asset now from those things has translated itself into actual like more emotional things, like being vulnerable with her, actually being like somebody that's going to listen and things like that. To me, I think that that's where the updated modern paradigm has came to, where I wouldn't say like as important it is to like go build some shit as it is, or go like work on a car as it is to like actually be emotionally invested in her as well. And that's the
I
point
won't
that I was
debate
making.
that. I won't debate that part. I mean, I think that
But I think there's
the
value in both
man's.
of those too, though. Like the
Oh no,
traditional
But I
aspect.
just don't. I think
I think that they
it's
value
like
more
saying
what you're
like
saying though. Like,
it's a huge value for a woman to wash clothes. I think that in a traditional sense, the value used to be exponentially bigger. Why? Because a woman used to actually manually have to wash clothes.
oh no, I still
And
love for
and
my wife
then
to wash my clothes. I appreciate the shit
no,
out of it.
I get it. What I'm saying is that
Appreciate the shit out of it. Swear to God, that's like
no,
that's one.
again,
He's
I
saying
get
the
it.
way in which the clothes are being
Yeah, like
washed.
Oh no, no, I understand that
it used
part.
to be like a very big task,
Right.
and that was something to where like in modern times, like for real, you go in, you put the
The
clothes out of the thing,
into the
and you
machine.
put the little it's
Yeah.
all of a 3 minute
Well,
process.
technology make that shit
Right, like
easier.
the
Yeah.
reality is that it's all of a 3 minute
Same
process
with the
in which
cars. I
like
get that.
Yeah, but I mean,
like when we go into like the I mean I guess we're talking about convenience, but it's not the same exact task. In which like to pretend like most guys now, in comparison to like the example of what you were making, is like actually changing the oil,
so let's ask
actually like
Taj.
doing
Let's ask
But
Taj.
no, that's
She's
fair.
sitting
That's a
right
good
there,
point.
and I'm not
okay.
saying that I disagree with what you're saying, but I also feel that like I guess we don't do it. So
Yeah.
like,
We got Ty sitting here. We ain't asked her
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
women
Like
want.
literally, do you think that women still value a
Traditional
man
values.
actually doing those things, or is it more of the fact of getting it done? If you can pay for it, it doesn't really matter if you're doing it. You know what I mean, you can pay for it. It's done. Like rather than like him building the house versus he can buy the house, or him paying to get the plumbing done versus him doing it himself.
I think as long as it gets done, I don't care how you go about doing it. Whether it's you do it yourself, you hire someone. If I ask you to do something, get it
Right.
done. That's pretty much where I don't like. To me, I don't care about you physically going out and washing my car. You could take it somewhere to get detailed. Like long as it gets done, I don't care how you get to that point.
I get it. I get it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like if because that's the convenience of modern like life. Like if we ignore the convenience of modern life, then like we're still living inside like this extreme bubble, in my opinion, where like we then have to up like my whole thing is that as things become easier on both ends, and that's why I also use like the dishwashing. I mean, not well dishwasher as well, but like the washing clothes thing, and then man changing the oil. Like these tasks have become exponentially easier on our end because of again most guys aren't changing the oil, and most women aren't scrubbing clothes clean, right? So on that behalf, we now have to compensate in our investment in the relationship in a different capacity, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why I fuck with the traditional shit.
But I get it. But can I ask a question?
Wait,
Not in
no,
the,
no,
not
don't
in
let
the
him get
aspect,
out of that.
no, 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 no.
Go
Not
ahead.
in the
Well,
aspect. Not in
I
the
like to
aspect.
hear this.
No, no, no. What I the reason why I say
Yeah,
that is because
yeah,
I actually like to. I actually like to. It makes me feel better about changing my oil than letting another paying another man to change it. So I appreciate that my wife appreciates me down there doing it more than someone else doing it, and then it also saves us money to use that money doing something else. So it's really like a thing that's just for me. You know what I mean? That's
Right,
just for me.
but I mean, I guess I don't. I think that you're one. I don't think that most guys in traditional relationships are changing oil though.
Possibly
Like
not.
I wouldn't think like again the fact that you can change oil probably puts you inside a rare minority. And,
Nigga, that shit is not no. See,
no, it's the
come on,
thing.
bro. It's like the most
No,
simple thing
Newton,
you
do you
can
change your
do.
own oil?
Hell no.
Tone, do you change your own oil?
Yeah,
No,
y'all,
no. My point. So what you're talking about is
and
like
that's why I said that's why
right.
You heard me
My
say
thing is
I
that
didn't say that. That's why most
right.
guys should
We're talking
go the
about what women
traditional.
want, though.
No,
No, but we kind of done veered
no,
out.
no,
We
we
still
have,
get
but
back to that. We still get back to that because that was her initial question for a fact. But we did kind of go on our
got you.
little tangent. But go ahead, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that you are attributing that as a traditional characteristic, which is not. That's the point that I'm making. Like most guys, even in today's time, as being traditional, changing oil isn't a part of that modern paradigm of being traditional.
I
You
get
just paid to get the oil changed.
I get you.
That's what it translates as now, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, and that's where I'm just saying that
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all,
most of our
traditional
things.
guys. The thing is, first off, you in a traditional scenario, right? And I'm not a nigga that makes all of the money, like you know, this multiple six figure guy. And I got you, my bad, Tasha. I
Yeah, I
just
was
want to
gonna
make
say,
this
can we?
statement. Uh, I definitely don't make all of this money in the world to be able to just be shooting the bread to get somebody to do all of this shit. Hell, the plumbing got fucked up at the crib. You know how much getting the plumbing done under your house in the goddamn crawl space is? Like, no, we gonna get under there and make that shit happen, like literally. But yeah, that's my point. We'll go ahead, Taj.
I
Go ahead.
was gonna say, I think it might be something that you take pride in doing. So like changing the oil,
Hmm.
I think probably brings you a sense of
Yes, I
pride,
think that
which
that's
is
a better
good.
term.
And
Yeah.
I know
Yes.
for women, like whether your man changes the oil or he goes and gets it done, the appreciation level doesn't like drop just because you do it yourself or someone else did it. We still are very appreciative that you did it, but I think men who are still willing to do it themselves, it gives them a sense of pride.
So let me ask you this: do you think that a man would appreciate their woman washing their clothes and cooking for them more than they appreciate paying for somebody to do it for them?
I would say yes.
Well, are you?
I would say yes, but then there, like, I mean, it could still be the same thing where long as it comes to where it needs to come to, like, I don't care how you get there,
Yeah,
because at the end
but
of the day, your clothes are still going to be washed. You're still going to have food. So, if you're in a relationship and your partner offers that, then great. I'm pretty sure you appreciate it.
Hmm.
If your partner can't, doesn't know how to wash clothes or can't cook or whatever, and you guys have agreed to like hire someone, and they're like, you guys are still getting fed. It
and
just
by
kind of
that
depends on the relationship.
you're saying that she's paying to get the clothes washed and whatchamacallit.
Oh yeah,
Oh
Clothes
yeah, because
washed
now we
and
looking at it in a
because
modern aspect.
because of then to me I don't think a guy would give a shit
I don't
if she's
care.
paying for somebody
Yeah, no, no,
to
no.
Long
wash
as
the
they
clothes
clean.
and all the food.
And I
I
wouldn't
think
debate it.
that
I wouldn't debate
I
it.
don't think anybody would even care.
Can
I
I
wouldn't
ask a
debate it.
question?
Let's
Because
get
women,
Italian.
when you go online and when women talk about what they want, you hear more about them speaking more of a traditional sense. In reality, you may see women operating in more of a modern sense.
hmm
What is like the modern is what do women want? Are they more in line with traditional values, or is it modern values, or like as a man, what should I be leaning more into?
Great question.
I think it depends on where she's at in her life. If you're a younger girl, it just kind of really depends on like your age and kind of where you are, right? So if you're a younger girl and you're into like the life of just going out, not paying for anything or whatever, you just want to kind of be, the trophy wife. Whether you're younger or older, then you would fall in the more traditional. If you're a woman that understands that, hey, not every guy can afford you and his
Mm,
lifestyle, then you'd be more modern. So think it kind of depends. I feel like when women are younger, we're more on like traditional. I want him to pay for everything. I don't have to do
mm-hmm.
anything, right? But then as you get older and you've had more life experience and you've been in multiple relationships, you kind of realize like, okay, I need to tweak some things here. Because like I said, not everybody is in the financial realm to where they can just afford their lifestyle and somebody else's. So
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be give and take in that. If you're talking to women like your age that are of stable mind, logical and things like that, I would say one, stability is very important. Like Q was saying, mentally, financially, emotionally, everybody wants a safe place to land. So if your man is kind of up and down and sporadic, it doesn't really give you a sense of stability,
Mm-hmm.
comfort, or safety. Like it's just kind of like you just don't know if y'all gonna have somewhere to live today or not anywhere to live tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
or if he's just gonna flip out on you for no reason. Because the other thing is too, not every man is emotionally aware. I'm not saying be emotional, but understand your feelings and why you feel that way, and then also look at how you're taking that out on someone else. So
Mm.
just having that emotional stability mentally as well.
Bars.
Mental health is a really big thing now, with everyone, COVID and just everything that's going on with the world. Mental stability is at an area where it's very delicate, right?
No, it's
So
facts for sure.
you want to make sure that your man also has a mental stability, and that also kind of falls on us a little bit as well when it comes to a relationship, because you also need to provide a safe place for your man to land as well
Mm-hmm.
as him giving that to you. Definitely protect her, like I said, safety. We want to feel safe emotionally, physically. You want to have that. Be a man of your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Stick to your words. Because it's one thing when you are you say something, but then you do another. Like that inconsistency, that's not stability, right? So if you're gonna do something, if you say you're gonna do something, do it. I would say someone that's kind. Not an asshole, of course. That's just me, though. I don't know if every woman want a kind man, but I like nice people.
I got one more question because me and a friend at work were having this conversation. She's a working woman. She makes a lot of money. But when it comes to traditional and modern, there's a lot of women that have, that make a lot of money nowadays, and they're out here in the, the workforce, and a lot of women do better than men nowadays. But do you think uh, that is something that women, do most women want to work, or would most women rather, be in that traditional sense as far as be with a man that's a provider, protector? You think most women want to have that more modern dynamic? Because that's something I wonder with.
I can answer that.
I would say,
How
let
you
me go
gonna answer
first.
the shit?
Right. I
But
would
I do know the
say,
answer.
I would say that when
Sounds
women say
good.
that they're independent, truthfully for me, from my perspective of just how I've grown up and developed and things like that, I really don't want to be the independent woman having to bear everything on my back, right? So I think when women are saying, I want a traditional man, it's like, I don't want to be that independent woman that literally has to do everything. I have to be my mechanic. I have to be my shoulder to cry on. I have to be my own partner. Like, I have to do all these things myself. I am tired of doing that. Like, no woman, well, I'm not going to say no women, because there are women out there that do want to be independent. They're proud of it. That's their thing. I get it. But I think when you've done it long enough, you kind of realize, like, this is a lot to bear on me. Like, I need someone to help distribute this. And so I feel like when people jump off the bridge and say they want traditional and they make more than their man, it's kind of like, I get why you're saying that, but then also realistically, that might not be the best for you guys' situation. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Did
no.
I
that's
answer the
perfect.
question?
So, this is we. Hey, I think we should do the. How do you keep it? What do you think? What do you think would make a man not cheat?
Oh,
I
that, are
think
you?
we should do that next. So maybe,
Are you?
man, I think we should
So
do that
are you
next.
proposing a question right now?
Yeah, I want to propose a question,
Before
but
we get into it,
Okay.
let's put a pin in it.
All right.
all right,
Hey, mid show, like, comment, subscribe.
for sure, for sure. And give us some. Hey, if you want to hear something, you want to hear a conversation, just let us know what the conversation. Just hit us. Let us know. Put it in the comment section.
Okay, so something that I've been seeing when it comes to like the red pill community in regards to relationships is this toxic narrative that if a man makes a certain income, he can have multiple women and be in a relationship, and she can't have anybody. So
Open on my end, closed on your end.
yeah,
That's what they say.
so that goes into the concept of cheating, right? So their justification is if a man has X amount of money, he can sleep with whoever. So for the men who aren't in that category, majority of normal everyday men, what does it take for you not to cheat?
Mm. I think we should go with single Johnny again
Well, I
on this
gotta
one.
answer all the questions first.
Because this is one of those, you know. Well,
Well, I mean, it takes a man being mature enough to make a decision not to cheat. Like, ultimately, it comes down, like, to the man, and you gotta be real enough to, if that's not the woman, you won't either have that conversation with her or not. But in most, but cheating, it comes down to just somebody making a decision. Now, I think there's things that, you know, can help, persuade, but it ultimately comes down to the man. And for me personally.
yeah, no, and I 100% would agree. Like, it'd be funny when I listen to the homies, some of the homies, they talking about some, yeah, I slipped in, you can accidentally drop something off. Nigga, ain't no accident. And I just sit there like literally, it's not too many times where you as a grown person should find yourself in a situation that you have no idea what will happen.
Yeah, I
You know what I
mean,
mean? I ain't gonna say that you can't predict a fucking a shooter comes in the mall and you know what I mean. You can't predict that, but there are a lot of things that you are in control of
can always
that
sit facing the door though.
Are we answering the question right now? Because
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
asked, what prevents a man from cheating,
right.
right?
What
And
does
that's
it take to keep a man from cheating,
yeah, and
or
it's
something along those lines?
Yeah,
yeah. So that's what I'm answering.
Okay, I'm gonna let you
You
keep
think
going.
I'm answering a different question?
Well,
So
it
he
didn't seem
answered
like
in
we were
agreement.
going as direct onto like what a woman can actually do to prevent a guy from
There's
cheating.
No, I
And
absolutely
wasn't.
yeah, okay,
nothing
so
that a
yeah, so
woman
what
that's
you
can
what
do.
that's what my
That's
answer
okay, and what
was.
you're
absolutely.
saying, okay, and what
There's
you're saying
nothing
is
that a
that there's
woman can
nothing a
do.
woman can do
No,
to keep a
there's
man from
nothing that a
cheating.
woman can do.
Okay,
It's my opinion. There's nothing that a woman can do.
A man's gonna
It's,
cheat. He's
it's
gonna cheat.
it's literally, and even when you talk about those high earning guys, right? Uh, a lot of the high earning guys that like literally, if you listen to them, that are logical, they also talk about dick discipline. They talk about dick discipline, and see the thing is that you don't really honestly you shouldn't. That's one of those things that are a blanket statement to men in general. Dick discipline is something that we all need. We all need dick discipline, and like I've even had like somebody close to me that like I that was in, you know what I mean, that was literally like had never had a relationship where he didn't cheat, and us sitting there and dialoguing like consistently for, you know, an extended period of time. My whole thing was like, at the end of the day, like, you prestige yourself when you're not open to allow someone else into your situation. And the thing is like, it's funny because like it became a thing with like, oh, nigga don't like pussy, like, oh, he gay, and it's like,
Well, no, it's
no,
just
he's literally
Yeah,
it,
I
it,
wouldn't think that
no, but I mean, it's a thing that's been like people been talking about a little bit lately, and I actually experienced a
yeah,
scenario
but that
where,
sounds immature. That's childish. Like if you
oh, for
can't
sure,
like to me like because like I've been in situations where you know I've stepped out, I've cheated, and then I've been in situations where I haven't. But it all was on me.
hmm,
As far as like there was a point where like I felt insecure. I
Johnny
felt
P the
like
cheater.
I needed to go.
Polka dots
don't blanket
everywhere.
my nigga, bro. Don't paint
Polka
my
dots
nigga like that,
everywhere.
bro.
Cheater.
Nah, but you got to grow up though. It's come to a point where I was
Hmm.
like in a relationship and I
Yeah.
was like insecure. Or I wasn't mature enough to think that I felt like I needed to go. I don't want to miss no opportunities. I don't know. It's all these other
Hmm.
women
But
out there.
but in general, so what y'all saying is that there's nothing that a woman could do to make it to where God doesn't want to cheat.
Well, women need to get in relationships with mature men and men that are
So if
past
he's
that
mature,
phase.
then if he's going to cheat, he's just going to cheat. But if he's not, he's not.
I mean, yeah, in my
No,
sense,
no.
yeah.
You say it again. Make that statement again.
If we're going with like he's a mature guy,
Hmm.
um,
Mature things
if he's
come.
in a relationship,
Hmm.
either he already going predestined going to cheat, or he's not. There's nothing that she can do to make sure that he doesn't cheat.
I don't believe there's anything that she can do to make sure he doesn't cheat.
There's things that
Okay,
come in within a
make it less likely to
relationship.
cheat.
I mean,
Okay,
there's things that come in a relationship. If you handle a relationship bad,
I disagree.
where you may like a guy. You know, I think there comes even vice versa. If like you're in a relationship and you're not being an attentive partner, they may go out and
Oh,
let
yeah, but
go.
don't use
Here
less
we
likely.
go.
But you
Now
use it.
let's get to
Yeah,
the real shit. Like
now you're
this
trying
is
to use less likely. See, I
all
understand
right.
when you say
So
less
are we talking
likely, but I don't
polar
think
ends
anything.
of a? Are we talking polar ends of the spectrum? Because obviously, like you can do everything and a person can cheat. So we're not going to base it at that
Okay,
part.
so
And then
what can a
what
woman do that makes a man not cheat?
not cheat. All right. And again, I think that we're going to base this at a fact that this is a mature individual. I think that when you're younger, there's probably not much,
Hmm.
right? Because of like, unless you've experienced enough, there's always going to be that part. But
Okay,
now that
right.
you're at a baseline of like an experienced man and a human being,
Hmm.
I think that if we're talking about what could be done to like prevent the likelihood of somebody cheating, because that's the reality of what we're talking about, I would then say the fulfillment and attentiveness to that person and their wants and needs. And I think that that happens on both ends. Where like as a man you have to do that, and as a woman you have to do that. So like if
So that's why I
reality,
don't think
like
it's
so, if, hold on,
specific to
like
just women. And when you ask what's
right, right, and that's
okay,
why I hit that. So, but if we're only talking about women at this moment, then we're only going to do that. But
okay,
let's make sure that we are. Hey, camera, this applies for guys too. Okay, so now let's have like a fair conversation. Can we
okay,
do that
all
now?
right. It's the to be fair
I
show.
want to
So
unarm Johnny so that you're not going to just be panda man.
I'm not.
All right,
I'm just saying, but like I just
but
you got to keep it real. But I mean, of course,
no,
everybody
no, then
knows
keep
that.
it real then. And that's what I'm saying.
But
Like I'm
like
gonna keep it real, but
keeping it real, when I cheated, it was because I made the decision. When I didn't, it's because I made the decision. It
It's
right.
wasn't
And
anything.
clearly.
were
It
you
wasn't
at a
anything that the woman did.
comfortable? So
It was on
we,
me. That's all I'm saying, based on my actual
Mine
experiences
as
in
well.
life.
Like you can say less
gotcha.
likely, and you can be like, yeah, if she's listening to you,
And
you're able to pour your heart out and all these things.
that's not it.
No, no, I'm just saying, just whatever.
Like
Just
cheating. Good.
she listens to you and all of those things. The thing is that cheating is not something that I don't believe that it's something that is prevented by like something that she's doing. I literally, I mean, she can make you happy, but the thing is that if we're talking about any long term relationship,
I know.
you're not gonna be happy every day, every year. She's not gonna be able to.
Nobody would say that.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's not what she's doing. In my opinion, it's literally you.
And your either
The man that
confidence or
you want to be, the
insecurities or
man that
immaturity is
yeah,
all on
it's
the man.
literally like what you're going to do
Okay.
and what you're.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
So,
Let's see. Ty's got a hand up.
good.
No, I was gonna say, everybody has a spectrum of what's cheating for them, right? Whether it's you DM a girl or you physically taking it to that next level.
We're
Just
talking about
for-
fucking, right?
Yeah, I was talking
Okay,
about.
Okay,
okay.
all right.
Just for
Just
like
wanna
the
make sure we all-
baseline.
Johnny, you talking about fucking?
dropping
Or you be
off.
cheating because you be liking pictures?
No,
I ain't never got no cheating scandals and didn't, you know.
Gotcha.
That's all.
Say you drop.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh. Yeah. Again, like I do have a level of disagreement with it. I don't think that like because of like innately what you're saying is that like you're just going to cheat or you're not going to cheat. I do think that there are things that can push a person to eventually want to
Cheat.
look for other options if you are not satisfied and happy.
Oh, I'm not. I wouldn't debate
and
that either.
So
And
what,
I think that
like, so what are some of those things? Like it goes to like sexual attention, you would say.
yeah, I think that
Satisfaction.
usually when you hear most people talk about cheating, it comes from attention, whether that is sexual or emotional.
Right. Yeah, facts.
And I think that when like you're cheating at an older age and you're mature, I think that there's a deficit in that. When you're younger, I don't think so. Like once you and again, like we're starting the baseline at a mature level. So like if you're mature and
And
like
that's not based on age. It's just literally
No, I'm talking about
maturity.
like maturity,
Just,
like
maturity. And I just
like
wanted
with-
to make sure that was transparent.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
use a
Like
lot
I'm
of
not
shit.
talking
Well, I
about like
think
once
he's
you get to
actually
30,
getting-
like no, nigga, you only cheat because of this.
Well, no, I
I'm
think-
talking about like mental maturity. Go ahead.
Well, no, I think you're in a good space because I think that's one of the things. Like, you
Tell me I'm right. Come on.
You
Come
want
tell
to
me.
answer? No, I ain't finna say that, but I'm not finna say that. But when you start talking about like, things. One thing, if you're a
You
mature
backpedaling right
man
now.
and you got everything and you end up cheating, it probably is due to a lack, not necessarily sexual. There's people that like. I know people that are
No, they-
poly
like-
and that end up cheating that can get all the pussy in the world, even within their like relationship, because that's how they set out. But they still end up stepping out because they start looking for like that emotional attentiveness, and it comes down.
Yes.
So maybe like in a mature man and somebody who done did everything that he wants to do and saying what I'm saying as far as like cheating comes, the one thing that could.
Saying what I'm saying.
Well, I'm talking about as far as just like cheating is down to the man,
Casting the
but
rod and stuff.
Wait,
but
cheating is down to the man. What
well,
does that
as far as the
statement mean?
decision, like as
Oh,
far
you
as
talking about like oh, we're only
If
talking
he
about
cheats,
men right now.
yeah, like with the cheating, but
Well, I think
emotional.
that's such a low level to put it at. Like
But no.
obviously, if you fuck a woman, then it's down to you. But we're talking about like the idea of like what drove you to that space. I
Emotional
think that-
inattentiveness. A lot of
Yes,
time
and
for a man,
that's my
like
part.
that's probably
And
one
that's
of the
what I'm
bigger
saying, like,
ones.
so-
Even outside of sexual inattentiveness, it's more the emotional inattentiveness for men too that probably drive.
I
them
think
to cheat.
both, honestly. I think in general, and truthfully, I think women probably cheat more on the emotional attentiveness.
It happened a
Oh
lot.
yeah, I would
It
agree.
happened a lot to men.
And I think that as guys, we can sit and have that conversation of like, when women are cheating, why are they cheating? And like, it's not because she just decided to cheat.
Well, I think this goes into the conversation of consistency when we were talking about what women want, and consistency being one of them. That goes for both parties, man and woman, or whoever's in a relationship. However you kind of start the relationship, you have to keep that same energy throughout the relationship. So if it was a thing where y'all were going out once a week, you still got to kind of go out once a week, so that way you're allocating time for your partner to show them that
Facts.
that intimate time where it's just y'all two and you're kind of away from everything else. Be intentional, put your phones down, have conversations, physical affection. And then even like go down to you guys being intimate. If you were, busting it down 2-3 times a week, you kind of still got to keep that same consistency throughout the relationship. Just like we want men to be consistent, we also have to have ownership in us being consistent
Even
as well
if the
with
bust
our
down
men.
turns to once a week. At least like when you
Yeah.
40, you busting it down once.
Well, you
Even
gotta.
if that turns to once a month when you
There should be
when
a
you 45.
conversation about it
Yeah,
though. Like
definitely a
Every
before it
3
go,
months,
conversation.
before it
something like
go
that.
from 5 times a week to 3 times a week to 1 time a week, you should have that conversation. As
To
a
a
couple,
month.
Yeah, when it's
They
like
start
when it's like a
extrapolating.
drastic when it's that drastic change, there definitely needs to be
be like,
dialogue that happens
hey
between the two of you
babe,
guys to get you on the same
I
page.
I be a little tired after work.
Get my
Oh, you
abs.
stopped dropping the dick off. That's what you saying.
No, not me.
Oh,
Not
I think
me.
that's what you was just saying.
It was an example. I'm still. I got energy. I got
I'm
energy.
still stroking.
Oh, wait, she the problem. That's what
I
you
got.
saying.
No, I'm just saying it should be communicated. I got energy.
4 round Johnny over there. Look at him.
I got energy. I'm ready. But I was just saying it before if it
What you was
changed.
checking before we started rolling? My bad. Keep going.
I'm just saying before it changed, you got to talk about it. You got to have them hard conversations. Pause.
Pause. But so what happens if you in a marriage and y'all been having relations, y'all been having sex. Let's say 3 times a week, 2 times a week, or whatnot, right? And then she just be like, "Man, this shit overrated. I just want to have sex maybe like once a month or something." What you doing?
That's a drastic change.
What you doing?
It's gonna be a conversation. We're gonna talk
No,
about
I just
that.
introduced it. I just had the conversation. How you
Oh,
responding, young man?
Oh no,
What you got, Johnny?
we gonna be talking about some sacrifices.
Oh,
what
what's
if
he gonna
what if she
sacrifice?
say? But what if she say?
Oh, she opening the door?
I'm
Is that
just.
what you saying?
I think I'm at a point in my life where I just want to abstain for a while.
Oh no, there we go.
Yeah, I mean that's not. I didn't sign up for that.
And
That's
then
not
what?
outside. So like it'd be a conversation and we'll figure something out. But
If she say, "Well, all right, no, I'm gonna be her."
it
So
hey
what?
Nigga say I'm gonna be her.
hey yo.
Hey, all right, we gonna be her real quick.
Okay.
We not. I'm good.
Go ahead.
Well, I just been doing some thinking, and I'm at the point where I want to abstain from sex. I just want to let you know.
Okay. I mean, hey, I didn't sign up for that. Like that's not.
That nigga didn't
So,
say I'm cheating.
so you didn't sign
That's
up
all-
for it, meaning what?
How are we gonna move forward past this? Is this we gotta have I ain't trying to do that with time, but
Well, I'm abstaining. So, like, where's that a move past?
I'm not.
So, what
Hey,
does that
Hold on,
mean?
this is a conversation. We gotta be quiet.
So because I want to abstain, you just what you gonna go out there and cheat on me?
Nah, but I'm just telling you that's not something that I've not nah, that's not me.
You keep saying nah, it's not you. What does that mean?
so are you breaking up or
We
what?
might have to.
Let it happen. Don't
We
don't
might,
guide him.
yeah. I mean, like
I want to see him wiggle. Wiggling. Go ahead.
well nah, I mean
I ain't cheating, but I'm having sex.
I ain't say that I'm finna do that, but
I ain't signed up.
Right.
yeah.
My bad.
Dang, yeah. I mean I don't know, like we might
But
have
what
to
is it that you don't know?
we might have to take some time.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna need some time. If that's what I don't want to.
So you say you need some time, like you just need some time to go for a walk. You need like what's the time? What time do you
I
need?
need some time to figure out if I'm gonna be able to do that.
You're not answering my question. What time do you need? Like you need to be out the house. You need to go for a
I'm definitely
walk.
gonna be at the house.
So what? So we breaking up? Like what's happening?
Hey.
Hey, what? Is that a yes? Is it a no? I can't read between the lines.
Yeah, man. It might not. It's not gonna work. I'm not gonna be able to be not fulfilled. And if I'm,
Hold on. All
all-
right. So if I can interject really quickly, Johnny P.
and that was just role play.
I know we was role playing, but I feel
ain't-
like there's pieces of you that might have shown in it. Would you say that in general that inside
I thought we were supposed to be doing a positive takeaway.
we getting there? This is how we get there. I ain't found mine
This is
yet,
how
but
we get there.
I think it's coming through this right here. You know what I'm saying? I'm on my therapist couch. This is Q's therapist couch. So within that, to me, what did seem like there was a barrier was the fact that communicating what you wanted and felt effectively and clearly inside a moment of tension. Would you say that has happened inside that scenario? Inside like say your lady relationship. That's what I got in that. Where like she clearly articulated what she wanted. And I'm saying this only because I think that men in general struggle with this. Not you specifically, but I think that as men, we can all probably account to a moment in which, like, we all have had that where a woman has been very emotionally forward, maybe the word would be vulnerable, but our responses would parrot a bit of what you was doing. Well, it's like, well, I'm just saying. And da 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 da.
I've been
because,
there
like,
before.
again, I can attest that, like, that's been a space that I've been at before.
Well,
And
you don't want to hurt nobody, and it's the thing. Like I want to do what I want to do, and I'm trying to look out for me. But I also am a nice guy, and I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings going about doing what I want to do.
But how good is that inside a relationship?
That's
Especially with a partner that's being straightforward with you. And again, like, this isn't like specifically to
Well,
pick,
no,
because I think that we all can hold a mirror up to ourselves.
Well, but it go to my point is saying, like, if I'm gonna be confronted with a fact where I'm not gonna be satisfied with something that I've expressed that I wanted, and she's clearly telling me that I'm not gonna get that, why, like, how long do I stay in that situation?
No, that's cool,
Vice
but
versa.
why not articulate that clearly?
Yeah.
And I think that with us as men, we don't do that well.
No,
In
I
which,
agree.
like, that in
I
that
agree.
scenario,
Hey,
inside our role play, I
I'll
think
tell
that.
you, it's hard to do it with the lights on and stuff, but you don't,
So I guess, like, so Big Johnny acting like so maybe you're flawless with this when the cameras are off.
I'm
and
not
shit.
flawless with it at
but
all.
my point,
Like, I done fucked up, but
so
like,
again,
I fuck it
Johnny,
up too.
listen for a second. My point is that, like, this isn't specific to you. I think that we probably can go down the line as this panel and be like, I know for a fact I can relate to that specifically because of there was a scenario in which I dealt with in which I exhibited that exact thing. And that's what I'm trying to say. So I think, like, to an extent, like, you're trying to make sure it's not like, hey, I don't really be doing it. This isn't. I felt like it was a good moment to where, like,
it's cool.
we can
Like,
extrapolate it into, like, a better thing. In which
I'm totally okay with that. But I'm
right.
just
I wanted to make sure you didn't feel like it was like an attack.
No.
My point is the fact that me listening to that, what I naturally drew was, damn, as men, we got to communicate better. Even if we want to get up out of that. Like,
Facts.
you know how, like, breaking up with women a lot of times for niggas be the hardest
The
thing.
hardest shit.
Because you be like, I don't want to hurt her feelings,
Listen,
but I
yeah.
want to get what I want to say.
It's
But then
half the time we'll make her
and women
break up
end up
with us.
fuck around still thinking like, hey, what, like, so what are we still doing at the end of this
I'm saying,
conversation?
but women don't have that problem. When I've been broken up
Oh,
with,
yeah.
it's been like.
So let's stay on men. We ain't going to women.
But
Come
I'm
on.
just saying, but there's a difference when we talk
I
about
get
how
it because
men have
she
to
gave
be.
it to you straight.
If men have to be better, like, I will say that. Like, a lot of times, yeah, I have to be more. Whether I'm trying to hurt your feelings or not, I have to be more direct with how I feel.
Right.
And you know what I feel like would help this? Having conversations. Like, in your relationship, actually have conversations. Get to the point where you guys can talk about things that you completely disagree on. Not even within your relationship.
Well, that's why
but just your
friendship matter.
different.
That's why friendship matter within a relationship.
Yeah, but
You know,
just
that's
have,
why I
like,
always want to be in a relationship with somebody that's my friend 1st, because it's easier to have those conversations as far as, like,
And I think that this is what we gonna get to this part of the segue. I'm looking at the clock, but I would say this is actually like a bit, and this may draw into like another conversation later, where something that I've talked about recently and that I've been looking at inside, pretty much like more recently inside relationships that work, or for me that have worked in the past that have worked, would be the fact that I now intentionally have conversational relationships in which, like, we talk a lot. And, like, whether we take this from, like, coronavirus and not like the corona era where, like, everybody was inside the same house for extended periods of time, and you really learned if you liked or fuck with a person or not. I think that inside most, or like traditionally, not necessarily traditional relationships, but traditionally in relationships, you didn't necessarily have to talk a lot once you really got things moving. If this makes sense. Like, once both people working, you come home, you might, like, eat dinner, might talk about, like, some very small
well,
shit.
you don't have to have those
watch
hard
some
conversations.
Netflix and then take your ass to sleep, pretty much. It's not necessarily a lot of conversation and experiment, like, perspective and shit like that. And I think that this is also why, like, Kevin Samuels exploded during the pandemic. Because everybody was inside the house having to deal with this shit, and then you're hearing somebody talk about the shit that we're all like, oh shit, we actually got to sit and talk about this shit or whatnot. And I think
It
that
wasn't a lot of those
more
hard
recently,
conversations that was going around. We
right?
would just go through the motions without having to sit down and really talk about shit.
And I think that especially with your partner, what I've learned and what I've seen be most fruitful for me, inside like my most recent relationships have been conversational. Like having conversational relationships where like whether you agree, disagree, there's always a fluid conversation that's happening and like you just sit and talk. And I be like
I consider that friendship though. Like that's
the
friendship.
friendship part of it.
Yeah, that's because that's part of being friends with somebody is being able to sit and talk through your shit. But that's conversation. That's a word for it, but
Yeah.
it's being friends with your partner. I think that's what it kind of boils down to.
I
I
just
ain't mean
wanted
to
to,
cut you off.
oh no, I wanted to throw that tidbit in.
That sounds about like a positive takeaway. That was fire.
Yeah, and so my positive takeaway for the week was, in your relationships, make sure that you have conversational pieces where you sit and have conversations. Yeah, I mean, I do think that I can extrapolate a little more. I'd say that for me, one thing that I have noticed that I've like put a perspective on when dating as a man, I do think that there is a space where naturally you are a leader inside like your household, right? If you're like, if I gotta stop saying like, this is also a positive takeaway. Quintel, stop saying like. Somebody be the like police because I'll say like a lot, and I've seen that inside some episodes. But um, for me, what I would say would be that as a man, you tend to be well, no, like you're naturally going to be a leader in your space. If you're doing the things and just being a man of like, again, your God is not finances. Your God is not like these other different things, but like your principal person inside your family, a woman, uh, inside times whether modern or traditional, typically like or what's her name? Erica Badu has a song. She said it's called Orange Moon. She says I reflect the light from the sun. The sun is the man, right? She's I mean, well, obviously moon, but so with that, understand that you do control the fact of if you want to have a conversational relationship, you want to have a silent relationship, you want to have all these different things, and as well understand that inside that capacity as well what you are, there's going to be pieces of you that your woman parrots, right? So if you like to sit and listen to like conversational things, if you sit and watch financial things, or you sit and watch the bullshit and drama all the time, there's a natural piece of if your woman looks at you as a leader, she's going to follow that. And so I believe that I think it is important to have conversational relationships. B, if you see yourself as a leader inside the household, make sure that you're leading inside a way in which you think is beneficial for the future of your relationship.
No, that's
Great.
Especially if she pairs it. Yeah. So
no, that's
there you
good. That's good.
good.
I'll go. I'll let you. I'll go second.
Okay.
Right now I'm ready.
go.
That's exactly what he said. But yeah, go ahead.
No,
PDK.
I was about to. I was about. I ain't know you was finna. I ain't want to cut up. I just wanted to go second. I want to let you
Do
finish.
your
But
thing, partner.
my positive takeaway is I uh I saw something on B Simone, her podcast, the Know For Sure pod. Um, I saw something where they posted. They was just talking about like black men and how even like rejecting a black man and how they don't want to. They know how much black men go through, in this society, and even if they, get hollered at and they're not trying to necessarily be with that black man. It's just they talked about how to reject and because they know what we go through, and it's just a real dope ass conversation. Just as far as just black queens understanding, the black kings in this country and what we go through, and just my appreciation for just the acknowledgement of what us as black men have gone through. I think I was a little unclear, but my positive takeaway is black women in America. I've been really kind of inspired over the past week of just seeing how black men or how black women deal with black men in America, knowing everything we go through. So just between friends, just on the internet, I've just seen black women stepping up and really being a support to black men, and not just necessarily the traditional sense, but more of the modern sense as far as just emotionally and making sure we straight with our mental health, making sure we straight with our finances, and I just want to shout out my black queens. That's my positive takeaway. That's what I
Yeah, no, that was
was a little
dope.
inspired with over the week, and kind of this conversation led into that. So
Yeah, no, that's
shout out to
dope.
black queens.
That's dope. Shout out to Black Queens. Um, I guess my positive takeaway may not be as y'all had some, dope joints.
PTK.
Yeah,
Positive takeaway killer.
yeah, you trash.
Niggas go.
You trash.
Go ahead.
But mine is going to be more about um not act, or let's say intentionally not comparing positions with other people.
Mm.
I think that especially with social media and everything, we kind of get we get carried away with comparing each other, and then I think that a lot of the times in that comparison, we're actually avoiding accountability as well.
Facts.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No.
I say, yeah, that's one of a big thing I think for
Jeremy
us to
stay with
take
like the
away.
positive takeaways that are meant to be topics. Go ahead, bro. The good
Nigga,
shit.
I'm the fucking positive takeaway king. Nigga, fuck out of here.
PTK.
But
PTK over here. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, nah, I'll say that was my positive takeaway, and I just kind of see when like asking people like, what is the reason that you want what you want? I think a lot of us literally want these things or are enticed by certain things literally because that's what somebody else wants, and that's what you think the you know what I mean. We're just constantly comparing ourselves and comparing other people to other people to where you're never really sitting with yourself to really see what you want and what you need.
No, that definitely happened out here in the internet age. You're seeing everybody's highlights.
No, that's a fact. I guess I do want to give one more positive takeaway. I think that
It changed the
Yeah,
whole
he changed the
goddamn flow.
format,
no,
bro.
for sure. Before we wrap it, I do think that it is because it goes a little bit to like say again what your positive takeaway was.
Stop comparing ourselves to each other.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe I think that there's a reach to which like I can, and I think that there's a space even like talking about like the podcast crew that we have here, in which we can speak about like there is a lot of talent to being in front of a camera, but there's a lot of behind the scenes things that is very very important. So like we do have off mic Taj or off
Yeah,
cam Taj,
and the Mama
in which
Taj.
she really does and she does give a fair, strong lady perspective
Mm-hmm.
or whatnot. And then we do have a dot. We call him Tone sometimes. In
A
which
dot.
honestly, I this was a status that I was gonna make on Facebook. I want to say that I was like, I might as well just hold it or whatnot. Was the fact that the person in front of the camera is only as good as the person behind it.
Oh,
Facts.
that is.
And like you really got like it you know how important it is to actually have somebody that's down to just like push the buttons, make sure shit is straight. Make that shit is
Mm-hmm.
just as important as any opinion we get
Oh no,
You know
or
no.
what?
whatnot.
It's almost
And
more
and going to
important.
like your point of like don't compare positions and shit like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like all these things is really really important to where again like we can shine the camera this way and you see like we do have
Behind the
a nice little
scenes.
crew here that
Sure.
important that positions are way past as important as just the opinions that we give. Like so again, I just want to make sure I give a shout out to Off Mike
Oh
Taj,
yeah.
A Dot, Big
Absolutely.
Tone.
Appreciate y'all. Love y'all family.
Oh
Appreciate
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Oh, we definitely love the crew. Shout out to Taz. Shout out to A Dot. Um, one of my biggest things that go to infrastructure and like
Hmm.
the importance of like even just everybody knowing how important your role is. Everybody, certain things like you might not even want a position,
Yeah.
but just understanding the importance and understanding the talents that you bring to that position.
Think about how many times you'd be like, damn, shit would have been so fire if we had a cameraman right here. If somebody was recording this. Well, hey,
Right.
can you hold
Right,
this
right.
camera for me?
Right.
Hey, can you, bruh,
But just having somebody,
nigga,
it go to
all the fire shit you do don't matter if you ain't got somebody that's willing to play a different position.
Oh
Like you
yeah.
playing a position, but like sometimes those other positions, your success don't matter if you don't have somebody that's actually willing to really contribute inside like a selfless way as well.
Oh yeah, nah.
You know what I'm
It's
saying? Like you
like
could be selfless putting yourself out in front of the camera and your soul, but then you got to have somebody that's selfless enough to be like, okay, what you're saying is important enough to where like I care to capture it.
and that person might also have opinions and stuff that he want to put out there, but you also,
Yeah,
selfish enough to not
he, she, slash. We're gonna put
they,
they. There we go.
you
See what he did
we
there? He did that. Yeah,
we're with the times, we're
yeah.
definitely with the time. That was
That was
a
crazy. That's
great
that he,
couple
she.
of
That's a crazy term to say.
a great few positive takeaways. Definitely shout out to Taj and A Dot.
For sure.
That was a really good episode. I say like, comment, subscribe below.
Yep.
Real, you had anything before we?
Oh, that's it, man. We wrapped it up. Shit.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll repeat it. Like, comment, subscribe below. If y'all got any topics that y'all want us to, touch on in the next couple episodes, let us know in the
For
comments.
sure.
Follow us on IG and Facebook at the 2B Fair Show. Follow us on YouTube at the 2B Fair Show. I'm your host Johnny P,
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
and we out.